Well, Secretary, I'm somewhat concerned about the whole Nelnet situation, the special allowances payments on that. I just look at the history of the failure of the department to send out a clarifying letter over a period of time until it belatedly did. But also note, on a Friday afternoon is when the decision came down. We all know what Friday afternoons are in terms of announcing decisions of what we're going to do. But the department decides to allow the company to keep $278 million. And then it just, it boggles my mind why we don't get the entire amount of money back, and what the excuse is for us to allow somebody to get away with essentially theft on the situation and not take the whole thing back, as your Inspector General's report clearly indicated should be done.
Well, Congressman, I don't know that you were in the room at the time, but obviously, as I settled this lawsuit, could we have taken a different point of view? And you may have. Certainly that's the case. But let me tell you the facts as I know them, which is that we had continued to pay that organization, as well as others, quarterly special allowance payments under the transferring provision, a legal authority for first and second generation loans. It was discovered by Inspector General that that organization had abused that provision and was doing something other than that. You all had previously...
But they also had discovered that back in 2005 with respect to another organization, so it's not like this is the first eye-opening that the department had.
There are 4 parts of the special allowance payments, and so various ones of those were implicated throughout the investigation in New Mexico and Nelnet in this case. The reason that I settled this lawsuit, to get to your fundamental question, is because there was a risk of an additional nearly $900 million that this government was at risk of losing had we lost the lawsuit.
So you totally disagree with your Inspector General, who made a clear indication that they didn't think that risk was there and that you ought to collect the entire amount. And that's also not the reason that Ms. Tucker gave on her Friday afternoon expose on here, when she indicated that she thought it was because it would jeopardize the financial status of some small nonprofit lenders in the situation, which would boggle the mind, I think, if she's arguing that there's some shortage of capital out there on this situation.
Well, obviously, this particular issue and case has implications for nonprofit and for-profit organizations other than Nelnet.
But you're not arguing, I hope you're not arguing seriously, that there's some shortage of capital out there that means that we should tolerate theft in order to...
No, clearly not. But what I made the judgment that it was better to end finally and with certainty this practice, to describe a methodology that the industry could apply across the
I hear what you're saying. I mean, I think you're extremely belated in doing that, given the history of this thing. But tell me what you didn't have confidence in with respect to your Inspector General's report, who had the exact opposite conclusion that you reached. Do you not have confidence in your Inspector General?
No, I have a great deal of confidence in my Inspector General. I don't agree with him 100% of the time on every matter.
I'm going to leave it at that, but I'm entirely uncomfortable with this for the whole scenario of how it occurred, the Friday afternoon release, the large amount of money that's forgiven here, the total disagreement with the Inspector General on this. I think it's a very weak presentation that you make on that, and I think we should all be troubled. And Mr. Chairman, I hope that we do some more oversight on that issue alone, and how many people were allowed to just take the money and run as a result of that decision, which I think that maybe we can have the Inspector General in and find out what it is that the Secretary and the Inspector General don't seem to jive on, because you agreed in one instance, and when you took back a certain amount of money, you found that you were in total agreement with his decision. Just going forward, you apparently had some problem letting them keep the money. Mr. Chairman, I'll yield to you if you have some additional questions.